So the main test for PD, I didn't cover this properly before I changed slides. On that PD, where it is a full application still, it's a prior notification application, not a full application, sorry. You still need to look at flood risk. You have to, generally you need a report on each one of these 5 things when you put in a PD. As long as you tick those boxes and you've checked that you comply, you should get the permitted development through. Acoustics and noise is generally related to the noise of the new inhabitants of the building you've got and the effect of the outside noise, which could be road noise, it could be in adjacent commercial buildings, it could be anything around that, you know, could have an issue. We had one where there was an arts centre opposite one of our buildings, and they wanted to know if that was noisy enough. So we had to do a noise survey at the times that arts centre was operating inside our building to see how the noise levels are affecting our potential occupants. You can understand why. That's a good thing to put in for PD. Contamination is where the land might have been. Let's say we're talking about a light industrial building that's suitable for conversion. It could have been a car showroom. It could have been anything in there. There could be oil. There could be contamination. We've got one recently over in East London with a mentee of mine that I'm working with on their site. Big mixed use site. They've got about 20 flats above, a whole load of commercial that we're converting under Class MA, I just mentioned. And they have a light industrial and old workshop at the back, which also was permitted development, which we've got through. And on that, there was a big oil tank in the corner of the warehouse, workshop. And we needed to do a specific survey on that and dig little pits around it and all this sort of stuff to show if there was any contamination in the land around it. We're really hot on this kind of stuff. Natural light came in only recently, and that was added after unscrupulous developers were building 5 square metre bedrooms, well, not 5 square metre, but very small bedrooms, so the space standard got rid of that, with no light, no windows. I mean, who on earth would think that someone wouldn't want to live in their bedroom, where you know people tend to live in these small studios even with no windows, but they were building it, so they had to put that in to control the unscrupulous developers out there. And highways is probably the single most important one. This one, don't underestimate this. This is definitely the most important and critical report you need to get done with any PD app. It will cover the bikes, the bin stores. It'll cover parking requirements or not. And I've had various experiences with this under PD where understanding the local council, and this is probably the highest risk element of a PD app as well, understanding a local council, whether they want parking or not, will be, you know, hugely beneficial or detrimental to your application. For example, in Newbury, the council for a PD app want the full space standards parking requirements. They really push for that. And this is an area where the council have got the ability just to say no to the permitted development application. If you've got the full planning, if you've got the full parking requirements, great. You're probably unlikely they can say no. If you haven't, and you're going for a PD app, arguing a parkingless scheme, which you do a lot of the time in full planning applications in town centres. And that's a very viable argument in town centres, and most of the time we'll get an application through on that basis. But if it's PD and they don't like it for some other reason, they can say no here. So that is a nuance that you need to be highly aware of. If you've got a town centre permitted development site that doesn't meet the national space standards for parking, if the council don't like it, they can use that as a reason to refuse it. Be warned, huge warning. You know, that should have a red label warning on it, that one.